Good afternoon. This is Desiree, founder of An Empowered Woman and HomWork. How's everyone doing today? I have the pleasure of speaking with Kona Sillers, who is the founder of Epizon Insurance. Everybody needs insurance. We know that. We know about our car insurance. We know about life insurance. We know about property insurance. But what I find a lot of entrepreneurs, including myself, did not know all the things that were needed in business insurance and liability insurance, and there's errors and omissions, there's umbrella policies. And especially, I thought I didn't need a lot of those things because I was working from home, which is actually where we think we're most vulnerable. So Kona's going to share with us some do's, some don'ts, some valuable information, and then she's also going to offer a key needs assessment so that all of you that are not sure will have an option of being able to get a complimentary consultation with her thereafter. Good afternoon, Kona. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on, Desiree.
Well, thank you for sharing your wealth, because this is information that's not optional. It's mandatory for every successful business to have, continue their legal as well as their insurance. So tell us how you got involved in it and what you found, and just get started.
Sure, of course. So how I got started in this business is I actually worked for a very large disaster restoration company on the East Coast. And unfortunately, I saw so many victims really either not being covered properly, and their insurance agents or brokers just really weren't doing their job. Or two, people were self-insuring, and unfortunately, that just doesn't cover when you have a total loss.
So, for example, a lot of people don't realize what they have until they do have a catastrophe, unfortunately. So what are some of the things that you've seen, and then kind of get started from there?
Of course. So a lot of people, we're average Joes, and we're looking to get a cost-effective insurance policy. We're not looking to have all the bells and whistles. What I think most people don't know about insurance policies is each policy has a set of conditions saying we will not cover these items. And a lot of people don't realize that, I think, whether it's a homeowner's policy, renter's policy, auto policy, there's certain things that just are not covered. And because of that, unfortunately, when a disaster strikes or an accident happens, which is why we have insurance, they just aren't covered, and they don't realize that. And I try to do my best to educate all of my clients.
But the thing is that when I look at those, and I do look at that, some of it I don't understand, though. I still don't understand. There's a lot of legal ease or insurance ease that I don't quite understand as a yes or no. So at that point, should we be contacting our insurance broker to really explain in detail all of that?
Yes, your insurance broker or agent has the policy information, so they'll be able to look that over and explain to you what is in it. And quite frankly, like if you work with a broker, they're able to contact the carrier, because sometimes the policy doesn't even have the all of the contractual things listed, and you have to call that carrier because each carrier operates differently, and they just have internal quirks that you have to inquire about. So that just is being kept on your toes.
Okay, so a lot of our clients are women in business. They work from home, or they have home offices. Tell us about that, and then we're going to go into the rental properties, what we should know about that. So what is to every person in business operating from home or otherwise, but I don't know if it's specific. Let's tell them some of the things they need from to watch out for, to look for.
Of course. So it's actually, if you are working from your home and let's say you own it, you can actually just tell your agent or broker, hey, I'm working from home, and they can add on what's called an endorsement and just have coverage built into your homeowner's policy, which is not that much more expensive. And so you're liable for any employees being on your property. You're liable for any customers being on your property, and that policy can be adjusted accordingly. And same thing for your renters. You just need to disclose that information so you're covered properly. If you do not disclose that and somebody gets hurt while doing business, then that is not covered under your homeowners or renters insurance. So just make sure you disclose that. It's not that much more to add on.
When you say not that much more, is that matter of $50, $100? I know it probably depends on the major policy, but is it something that's hundreds of dollars more, or just something that could be as little as $100?
Well, you know what? I'm just going to go back to that diplomatic. That depends. And the reason why is because if you have a certain amount of coverage that you're looking to add as far as computers and business property, and let's say you're putting down $50,000, well, that's going to substantially impact that policy. But if you're just looking to add on some liability, no, it'll be like $50 or $100, depending on how much you're looking at.
So that was an important thing that you mentioned as far as the equipment, because many of us do have computers, multiple computers. Some of us have fax machines, copy machines. So what else, in addition to that, should be included in that policy? What should we tell our brokers that we're going to need to include besides those few things, the cameras? What else are some of the things that you've seen people include?
Well, you don't have to list them out specifically. You can just list them as business property, and you can give your agent or broker the amount of that. If there's something very specific that you're looking to get covered, that like equipment you keep in the garage and that's specialty equipment like a weighing machine or something like that, then you're going to have to start looking into itemizing it, and you're going to start looking into other policies at that point. But as far as just doing a quick endorsement on your home, you're covered for liability, you're covered for your standard computer, filing, theft, things like that. That's a very easy add-on.
And then you also mentioned, again, employees. Many of us do have our assistants or employees come to our home for part-time or just at some point in time. And sometimes we do have a client, even if they're just dropping off a piece of paper or picking up something. So all of that, is there some guidelines we should keep in mind for that? Is it per person, or is it any other details we should know about that?
Well, if you have employees, get workers' comp. Besides it being the law, you want to make sure that the employee is safe and covered. You also want to make sure that you and your business is safe and covered. So if you have an employee, definitely get workers' comp. Look into that. Here in the state of California, we definitely need to have those coverages.
And you mentioned liability. Just elaborate what that is. So again, some people are just totally new to this. They don't even know what a liability is or liability insurance is. So
of course. Definitely. So liability insurance is going to be if someone steps onto your property and has an issue and decides to sue you. So that's going to cover if anyone, for instance, on your homeowner's policy, let's just keep it simple here. Your liability is going to be coverage E on your homeowner's policy. There's A through F, and it's coverage E. And that amount is what is paid out if somebody sues you, if they trip and fall, if something happens at your home that you neglected to fix and they got hurt on it, that's what they sue you for. And that's the max that coverage will pay.
Okay, so it could be from a dog bite or anyone. And that's your employees. That's specifically for employees or for anybody that comes onto your property?
That's anybody that comes onto your property. But if you have to disclose that you have a business out of your home if you want that to be included on your policy. Because if you all of a sudden have people traipsing through your home and you didn't let your insurance carrier know, you're not going to be covered for that liability or any of it, quite frankly.
Okay. All right. So now for the rental, because what we do is like at HomWork, we are covering our signature properties. It's the properties that, for those of you that are new to HomWork, those are properties that we acquire ourselves and that we build out the bedrooms to be live-work suites for women to live in, full-time, part-time, and drop-in. And we're also going to be having events at the home. And some of our ladies, our members, will be able to give events at the home and get their conferences or meetings and just open houses. So that's one. And also we have our host properties. And these are properties where some of our members have guest houses, guest rooms, vacation homes that we'd like to include in our portfolio. Since we're promoting properties and women in business and connection and community, then we're going to include those as well. So I got to need an idea like what we're going to need, but then also, are we going to need, if we are hosting someone else's property on our website, for them to contact that owner and be able to stay at the owner, do we need anything in regards to that?
Let me make sure that I'm understanding your question properly. Are you asking that since you're hosting a party and somebody else's property that you're looking for insurance? Is that what you're asking?
Oh, there's two parts. One of them is that we're going to have properties that we host events at. We host them ourselves, and some of our members can host events at. So I know we're going to need insurance for that.
Mm-hmm.
And
event insurance.
Events insurance, really? Even if it's like, is that under 20 people, over so many people, or is it just period?
Well, it depends on, I guess, what kind of party it is. If it's more of a private party setting, that's different. But if it's going to be more of a corporate party and you're going to have or have public there, then you're going to need to look into that. You can also get general liability, and that would fall under that category. And you would just need to add pretty much disclose that you're going to be there and give your agent or broker that information, saying that you will be at that place at that time with that many people. There will or will not be liquor there. There will not be entertainment there, and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
it goes deep. It really does.
That
It's
makes
not
our list
simple.
get longer. Just making my list to do this get longer, but that's another. Now, the second question though is that we are hosting other women's properties on our website. So on our website, we're building it back in now, and to be ready very, very shortly. Where we're going to put other people's homes on our website. They can say, "Oh, like Airbnb. Okay, I want to stay at that home." They will contact the owner directly. They make all their key arrangements and everything else arrangements with the owner. And I know that the owners should have additional insurance. So I want a two-part question. Will we need anything just because we're referring people to that property? And then what should that owner have to cover them against any theft, any accidents? Because these are people coming in short-term or part-time to stay at their home, like an Airbnb or VRBO.
Okay. To answer the first part of your question, there's something called errors and omissions, and pretty much that protects your business from the homeowner or the people attending or excuse me, maybe not attending is not the right word, but staying at that home. And that protects you against the liability. And if someone decides to sue you, the E&O would cover you, because pretty much you're offering out that service pretty much. So that would help you out there. So that's E&O. And then as far as the homeowner, he would need liability. He would also need to disclose to his broker or his agent that he is treating his house like an Airbnb, and that's a separate endorsement that would be added on to the homeowner's policy. And not all carriers have that, actually. They won't take on that risk.
They won't take on that risk.
Yeah.
Now, do you have to specify it as being Airbnb, or just say I have rentals? I mean, is it the difference between part-time, full-time rentals, or specifically for that short-term rental business, the industry, which is relatively new? So I'm sure there's a lot of, more things that are becoming available or necessary as a result of what's happening in that industry.
Of course. Well, there are two different policy types. So if the owner is living at the home, then it's going to be the scenario that I just said. He'll need to disclose that he's renting out the other rooms to the public in an Airbnb style. If he is just renting out the home or the rooms in general and they are not living there, he or she, then there is actually something called a DP policy, which I write very often for my clients that have rental homes. And that's going to cover the house, but pretty much not the contents in it.
So we're going to want both. I would like for all of our hosts to have something that protects their house, of course, whatever they would normally have. I want them to also have something protected against the people and that would visit them. Because again, someone can have an accident, someone can have an accident in the kitchen, bathroom, whatever the case may be. They could also, if there's any theft or damage, maybe someone knocks over accidentally a picture on the wall that's pretty valuable. I want them to be covered by that. I'd also want them to be, if something happens, like for example, they have a lease or agreement for the person to stay a certain time, and there's an earthquake, there's something beyond the host's control, where now they not only have them become displaced, but their tenant has become displaced. Who covers that move, who covers their damages, who covers their replacement facility that they stay with, as a hotel or whatever. So is that kind of a policy that would cover all that, those things they should be paying attention to?
Of course, that actually falls under coverage D, which is called loss of use. And that's going to be if there was a total loss on the home, of course, not earthquake, because you would have to have earthquake insurance separately. But if there was a total loss on the home, then that coverage D would kick into either hotels. It would also help kick in for, new clothes, anything of that nature. And it would pay for the tenant's stay through the duration until that coverage ran out in coverage D.
Okay. And then say, for example, going a step further, that person decides the tenant, because I'm not going to be here more than a weekend, I'm going to be here for 3 months. Should that tenant, in addition, get another policy so that they can be personally covered for their personal things? Like if they're going to be there past a certain time, as opposed to just a 2-day or 3-day, they're going to be there for each period of time. So they get additional policy. And if so, what's available for that? And what would be the time period that would start making that change?
Yes. If they're going to stay somewhere in a, 1-2 night time frame, even up to a week, that's not necessary because it falls under more of like a vacation. That's definitely not considered a permanent residence. But if they're staying anywhere for months at a time, that is considered a permanent residence. And I do recommend the renters get renters insurance at that point, because at that point it would cover their contents, it would cover theft, it would cover damages such as water or anything like that their insurance would actually kick in first before the homeowner's insurance would kick in.
It's a lot of information, but it's absolutely necessary. What are some of the other things that you know of that, and not having to go too deep into like business insurance, as far as there's insurance I heard about for your website, the insurance for your IP, or just anything else that homeowners, but also more importantly, businesswomen should know about, that look into or to ask about?
Of course. So at our brokerage, we actually handle everything as far as personal lines and business lines. And specifically with business, general liability is a good go-to. Get the insurance, make sure that you're covered for your liability, making sure if anyone steps foot on your premises that you're covered. If you get sued, you have coverage. The standard on that's the 1 million, 2 million aggregate. So that's a very common question I get. So I wanted to throw that out there. The standard coverage for general liability is the 1 million, 2 million. Yes, please take that. And then of course, we do commercial auto, which a lot of business owners don't realize that if they drive their car for business use at all, they should really put their car under a commercial auto and not a personal auto policy. So that's something to consider. E&O coverage, I touched on that briefly. So if you are part of a service of any kind, a lawyer, a doctor, insurance broker like myself, or like what you're doing, you're pretty much kind of playing matchmaker, and you want to make sure that if you have a client that's unhappy, that you protect yourself. That's called E&O, also known as professional liability. Doctors call that malpractice. It's all the same thing. So that is a really good coverage if you offer a service, because you want to make sure that you're protected. Also, let's see here.
Key person.
Yes.
Key person insurance. Is that still key person, key mans? Key mans. You've heard to this key mans, but now new liberation call it key persons. Is key mans insurance?
Of course, yes. That is a very good thing to have, when you have multiple owners and you have a person at the company that without that person, the company's not going to run very well. So you want to make sure and take that insurance policy, out on them. That actually falls under our life side. And I know a little bit about that, to be perfectly honest. I am licensed in it. However, I just choose not to practice because I love it's called property and casualty side, which is the personal lines and the others. So I actually have somebody else on my team that can tell you more about that specifically, and I would be more than happy to put you in touch with him.
Okay. Well, you've shared a lot of information, and we really appreciate that. Anything else you want to leave our listeners with today?
You know what? If as long as you can trust who you're working with, and you feel comfortable with the coverages, just make sure that everything is explained to you properly, get all your questions answered, and know that in the insurance industry, cheaper is not better. Cheaper means less coverage, and most likely the payout, if a claim happens, is not going to happen. So if you're trying to save a buck, I totally understand, but just really look out for that. Make sure that they're an A-rated carrier. 100% get an A-rated carrier.
Okay, fantastic. And you are, I would assume, an A-rated carrier.
Well, I'm a broker, but I only work with A-rated carriers. Yes. So, and what that means is it's governed by the Department of Insurance here in California and also by the U.S. So it's the cream of the crop, and they pay out their claims on time. They have a lot of financial backing. And so if there's a huge natural disaster, they'll be able to cover your loss.
Well, I find also the benefit of working with a broker or working directly with a company. If you go directly to a State Farm or Farmers or some of the other companies, they're going to share with you and provide for you what they cover and what they do best in. Advantage of working with a broker means that you can tell the broker, just like a travel agent or whatever, you tell the broker all the things that you're concerned about, all your needs, and they shop for you the best policies, knowing what your again, what your liability is, knowing what your concerns are, knowing what your exposure is, and so forth. They're able to match you with the best policy. So it's kind of a neutral position in that sense. Is that correct?
That is definitely correct. Nope, you got it. I have long-term relationships with my clients, and I feel very fortunate that I don't have to do much farming myself. I get so many referrals that I just really enjoy helping people, and I love to put policies together, especially with my background in disaster restoration. You know, seeing these people not covered for what they should have, I truly take pride in what I do, and I just want to help people.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We look forward to you helping us today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if there's any questions you have, we're going to have Kona's information below, so you'll be able to take advantage of a free assessment. Again, look, check what you have already and see what's in who's missing. And it always never hurts to get a second opinion. So take advantage of what's available to TTA. We are now in the process of having to make those decisions ourselves. We are all growing, we're all expanding, so make sure that we're covered so we don't lose. So I want to thank you again, Kona, and thank our community. And stay tuned. We're about to launch our host properties. Have any questions about HomWork, either joining us, go to homwork.com, and that's www.homwork.com, homwork.com. Or you can also call us, 818-865-8563. Become a member, become a host, become an investor, just become a part of our community. And until we meet again, remember, HomWork is where you can live where you work where you live, anywhere in the world. Thanks again. Bye.
Thank you.
It's ending. Make sure it's ended.